The President of Ukraine Vladimir Zelensky has thanked Joe Biden and the U.S. Congress for a new military aid package which is worth more than $8 billion, but it's still not clear if Mr. Zin's trip to the White House will help him to get the green light to fire US-made long-range missiles into Russia. Now he's also facing another issue in the United States, and that is increasingly chilly relations with the Republican Party. Its candidate for the White House, Donald Trump, has accused Mr. Zelensky of refusing to do a deal with Moscow and has also once again questioned why the United States is giving so much money in aid to Ukraine. And we've also heard from the House Speaker Mike Johnson, who's accused Ukraine's ambassador in Washington of organizing what he called a partisan campaign event to help the Democrats. Well, I talked through some of these issues with Arissa Lovich, who's head of the Ukraine Forum at Chatham House. Asked her what kind of impact that new aid package worth some $8 billion will have for Ukraine in its war with Russia. This war of aggression of Russia against Ukraine is very high-intensity war, and it cost a lot of money. I mean, the annual needs of Ukraine to really be able to repel Russian invasion are calculated with more than $100 billion, so you can see that $8 billion is a lot of money. It can make a difference, but it's still not something that is needed and what President Zelensky is asking to equip Ukraine in a midterm for victory. But there are some interesting capabilities, such as new air-to-surface missile that has about a 100-kilometer range that President Biden announced. And what is interesting, he says he can deploy quickly some of the weapons that are in U.S. storages as part of his presidential drawdown authority, so we may see changing dynamics on the ground quite quickly depending on those capabilities that will arrive and depending how fast they will arrive, because it's one thing to make a statement, another thing to organize all the logistics so that they're on the battlefield. Okay, but I mean, President Joe Biden has been relatively generous. I think you'd agree. Are you worried that if Donald Trump walks into the White House, he's going to be a lot less generous? He was saying, quote, Donald Trump, every time Zinni comes to the United States, he walks away with $100 billion. I think he's the greatest salesman on earth. That sounds like Donald Trump wouldn't be giving that kind of money to Mr. Zelensky. Well, it is clear from Trump's statements and from his approach to the world and geopolitics is that he will try to engage where he can win us, so there is a certain ambiguity about what he will actually do. Understanding the implications of Ukraine's defeat for the American power, but of course it's risky. It is clear that Trump holds some grudges against Ukraine. He personally believes it did interfere in US elections back in 2016, whereas all the evidence was pointing to the Russian interference. There is some kind of toxic relationship personally between him and Ukraine that Zinni was trying to overcome, but he actually spectacularly failed and was entangled now again into US domestic politics.